All right, hi everyone. I have the Scroll of Biblical Chronology and Ancient Near Eastern History, Volume 1 here, which is available on my website. And today what I want to do is look at the prophecy of Jadon, which is a traditional name for a prophet that made a prophecy when the kingdom of Israel was divided. All right, here we are at the division of the kingdom in 983 BC. We have Rehoboam of Judah and Jeroboam I of the kingdom of Israel, and then we have the end of Solomon's reign here, 40 years. So the kingdom divided at the end of Solomon's reign into the southern kingdom and into the northern kingdom. And Jeroboam I reigned over the northern kingdom. Now when Jeroboam I introduced idolatry to the northern kingdom, a prophet was sent to him. This is recorded in 1 Kings chapter 13. And the prophet predicted that a king named Josiah would do away with his idolatrous system and that he would burn the bones of the priests on the altars that they have built. So now let's go to the fulfillment of the prophecy in the reign of Josiah. All right, here's King Josiah of Judah. Here's his accession year in the first year of his reign. And he came to the throne in 640 BC. And this date is one of the last dates, the highest dates that are undisputed among scholars, secular and religious. All right, the prophecy was fulfilled in the 18th year of Josiah here. You see the 18 in Josiah here. And this fulfillment was 361 years after the division of the kingdom. The traditional name of the prophet that predicted Josiah's reformation is Jadon, as mentioned in Josephus. Josephus preserves a remarkable number of 361 years for the prophecy of Jadon. See 1 Kings 13, 1-10, which corresponds to the exact year from the division of the kingdom to the fulfillment of the prophecy. So, the question is how did Josephus get 361 years, which is correct according to the 390 years of Ezekiel? The answer is he didn't get it by adding up the numbers himself. He was reporting a traditional interpretation of Scripture that he had received somehow. Let's look at Ezekiel's prophecy here. In 593 BC, in the 5th year of the exile, the 390th year from the division of the kingdom, and the 30th year from Josiah's reformation in his 18th year. So evidently Josephus understood, or the tradition that he was reporting understood, that the 390 years ended at the same time that the 30 years ended. You can look in Ezekiel chapter 1 and chapter 4, verse 5 for these dates. In order to get to 361 years, these years were simply counted backwards. 390th being the 30th. Let's count backwards till we come back to the 361st year in the first of the 30 years and in the 18th year of Josiah. Now the remarkable fact is that Josephus did not actually do any figuring himself. He's just reporting results from other sources, which is very helpful because we can get around any interpretations that Josephus might put upon this. The reason we know this is because there's no way that Josephus, using the numbers and the synchronisms that he reports in Scripture, can arrive at 361 years here. All the figures and methods of Josephus will fall short of 361 years. So let's go back to the beginning. We have in this column counting 1 to 390. And as noted, it comes to 361 in Josiah's 18th year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. The first clue that an era is being kept here is found in the reign of Asa. The 35th year of the kingdom of Asa is synchronized with the 15th year of the kingdom of Asa in 2 Chronicles 15:19. And in 2 Chronicles 16:1, The 16th year of Asa is synchronized with the 36th year of the kingdom of Asa. Higher critics have thought that these numbers 35 and 36 were errors. So higher critics call this a contradiction. The fact is the kingdom of Asa is talking about the divided kingdom. So this is the era of the divided kingdom, the 390 years that counts from when the kingdom divided between Rehoboam and Jeroboam I. So the 35th and the 36th year are counting from that point, and the kingdom of Asa is reckoned to be the kingdom of Judah, starting with Rehoboam. So this is the clue that a count was being kept. And then when we get down to Josephus, we see here that Josephus records year 361. So that's 3 points at which the divided kingdom is being counted. And it actually comes out to the date of the prophecy at 390 years. Ezekiel 4:5, and the dates given in Ezekiel 1:1 through the first part of the paragraph of Ezekiel for these dates, for the date of the prophecy, the 5th year of the exile, the 30th year after Josiah's reformation, and this would be the 390th year, and 593 BC. So that's 4 points. We have the beginning point, we have 2 points mentioned in the reign of Asa, we have the 361st year mentioned in Josephus, and then we have the end point, so that's actually 5 points. Now there possibly is one more point. The high priest Jehoiada died a son of 130 years, near the end of Joash's reign, Joash of Judah. Okay, and it so happens that his death occurred almost exactly when the 130th year of the divided kingdom came by. I don't consider this proof of another point, though, because it's possible that Jehoiada actually did live to 130 years. It's possible that he both lived to 130 years, and it's synchronized with this point also. We don't really know the answer to this, but we have enough other points to establish that there is a divided kingdom era counting from the division of the kingdom. Josephus gives 361 years. Let's look this up in Volume 2 of the Scroll of Biblical Chronology and Ancient Near Eastern History. Okay, here's Volume 2. The charts run sideways in this volume across the center of the page. You can see they continue over here. So here's the era of the divided kingdom. And here is the 361st year. Here's the reign of Yoshiahu. And here's his 18th year. Okay, let's look at our other points in here. First, let's go back and look at, here we go, 593 BC. We have the 390 years of the divided kingdom era ending. We have 30 years from the 18th year of the reign of Josiah, Ezekiel 1:1 and 4:5. And we have here, or the 5th year, actually the 5th year of his exile is down here where you can't see it. There it is. This is the 70-year exile. This is the 5th year of the exile, which was also the 5th year of King Zedekiah. Okay, so we see the end points here. We saw the 18th year of Ezekiel. Let's go back to the beginning. Okay, here we are at the era of the divided kingdom here. Rehoboam accession year, a hostile transition to the first year of Yeroboam, or Jeroboam, here at the bottom. Okay, so this is when the divided kingdom era begins. Now, if we go over here, we see in the reign of Asa, the 15th and the 16th years correspond to the 35th and the 36th year of the divided kingdom. So we have those points too, with the note that Baasha was dead in the 36th year of the reign of Asa, but still king in the 36th year of the divided kingdom. And here we have the 130th year of the divided kingdom, about when the high priest died. I think I noted this before, that Josephus's numbers do not add up. The question I want to pose here is why they do not add up. When we have answered this question, we will get some insight into what has gone wrong with evangelical chronology, because we can draw a historical line of error, starting with Josephus and going to Ussher and then from there to Edwin Thiele, who is responsible for the dominating chronology of the evangelical world. So let's go back and look at the charts and see where the errors began. Okay, the reason that Josephus' numbers don't add up, nor Ussher's numbers, which are derived from Josephus, nor Thiele, which are derived from Ussher on this point, and derived from Josephus, as we shall see, is that Josephus eliminated a regency between the death of Amaziah here, and Uzziah, his son here. When Amaziah died, Uzziah was only 4 years old. Therefore, a regency was installed between the death of Amaziah by the people of Jerusalem, or imposed on them by Jeroboam II, who actually did conquer Jerusalem. This regency was 12 years. You see here the era of the divided kingdom. If the regency is deleted, then 12 years of the era of the divided kingdom will disappear. There's no way to regain these years any other place in the chronology. Josephus' numbers can't gain them either. Now I'm going to show you how Josephus subtracted this regency from the chronology. Josephus claimed that Uzziah came to the throne in the 14th year of Jeroboam. Here's Jeroboam, and here's his 14th year. Now, the reason it doesn't line up in this chronology is because there are slight variations between the way Josephus computes, or his source did, and this chronology. That's not important. What's important is a large chunk of 12 years. By making the 14th year of Jeroboam the accession year of Uzziah, Josephus was able to close up this gap, close up this regency. The only difficulty with this is the scripture does not say that Uzziah came to the throne in the 14th year of Jeroboam. The scripture says that Uzziah came to the throne in the 27th year of Jeroboam, which we see is over here. Amaziah died in the 15th year of Jeroboam, and we see that Amaziah lived 15 years after Jehoash died, according to another text. And these 15 years are detailed here. That the regency starts after the end of these 15 years. So by changing 27th year to 14th year, Josephus was able to eliminate the regency. And this is the reason why, when Josephus said it was the 361st year, it is according to his source, but not according to his chronology. Let's now look in Josephus and see where this amazing contradiction of Scripture occurs. Okay, the reference I'll be using is on page 264 of Volume 2, where I discuss this problem. Josephus alters the accession of Uzziah to the 14th year of Jeroboam. See Josephus' Antiquities, Book 9, Section 216. Let's look this up. Here it is. After the same manner did Uzziah, son of Amaziah, begin to reign over the two tribes in Jerusalem in the 14th year of the reign of Jeroboam. Well, that's not what the scripture says. The scripture says in the 27th year of Jeroboam, which means we have to allow for a regency. And as noted, when these 12 years of regency are eliminated, Josephus' number does not work. It gets too small. Okay, here it is in Volume 1, chart book. The death of Amaziah here, 29th year. The accession of Uzziah here, 1st year. And then we have 12 years of regency here. My belief is that it's Jeroboam II, who was the senior regent here, and he held the kingdom for the throne of Judah. He held it for Uzziah when he came of age. So in spite of the fact that Jeroboam II was a wicked king, he was benevolent enough to preserve the monarchy of Judah. So this was Josephus' errors. And we see that Josephus contradicts himself when he says in the 361st year was the Reformation of Josiah. And then he deletes from his chronology this regency. The two numbers are diametrically opposed. There's no way that this regency can be deleted and achieve the sum of 361 years. And not only that, but the scripture says that Uzziah came to the throne in the 27th year of Jeroboam, and not in the 14th year, which Josephus has. Okay, let's now see how this error got translated to Ussher's chronology. Okay, so we are here looking at Ussher's Annals of the World under 3194 from the year of creation, and these are seasonal notes for Ussher, Anno Mundi. He says, Uzziah or Azariah succeeded him, that is, Amaziah, in the 27th year of Jeroboam II, king of Israel, as reckoned from the time that he began to reign as co-regent with his father. This is the assumption of a co-regency that did not exist. It has the same effect as Josephus's error. It eliminates the regency between Amaziah and Uzziah. And without this regency, the 390-year sum cannot work. Ussher tries to make it work, but he cannot make it work, which I will shortly show you. All right, this again is from Volume 2 of the Scroll of Biblical Chronology and Ancient Near Eastern History. Ussher, better than using page numbers in Ussher's, we use years to index his items. In 3030, he says, which is equivalent to his 975 BC, from the beginning of this idolatrous worship and public demonstration of God's judgment in that place, we are to reckon the 390 years of the iniquity of Israel as spoken by Ezekiel. So, Ussher at least agrees in theory that the 390 years should come out. The question is, does it come out for him? The first point is that he doesn't reckon to the date of the prophecy, that is, to the 5th year of the exile when Ezekiel received the prophecy. He picks another arbitrary point. He picks the destruction of Jerusalem. Still, even though he picks the destruction of Jerusalem, his numbers do not work out. Because Ussher says, so Ussher states, on the 10th day of that month he set fire to the temple. These events have been recorded as happening 388 years after the separation of the 10 tribes from the tribe of Judah. So Ussher only comes up with 388 years, which isn't what the scripture says for the time period. The scripture says 390 years. And he also chooses an endpoint, which is incorrect, which actually is not indicated by the scripture itself. If you read the notes in the edition of Ussher's Annals that I have, the editor, Larry Pierce, tries to rectify this problem. He tries to rectify it by saying that if you include a year before the 388 years and a year after the 388 years, then you get 390 years. The only problem with this is that when you actually examine Ussher's number, you could only get 388. 390 is impossible given Ussher's chronology. So I explain this further in Volume 2. So there's definitely a deception going on here to make it seem like the scriptures are matched up. The 27th year in Ussher's reckoning is a deception because he reckons it from an ad hoc artificial co-regency. And this maneuver destroys the exact sum of 390 years. He also chooses the wrong endpoint. Josephus simply changed the number 27 to 14, and this makes it impossible also to compute the 390 years. It is possible that Josephus' number was originally correct, and that some later editor of Josephus changed it so that it would accord with Ussher's chronology or something like Ussher's chronology back in the days when scribes could change text and they wouldn't get caught. Now let's move forward to how Thiele applied this. This principle introduced by Ussher of shortening the chronology, i.e. eliminating a regency by the use of an artificial co-regency, was used once by Ussher as far as I know, and only once by Josephus as far as I know. It was only used in the reign of Jeroboam II to shorten the regency or eliminate the regency between Amaziah and Uzziah. However, when we get to Edwin Thiele, we see that Edwin Thiele adopted this artificial co-regency method as actual principle or method of his chronology, and he multiplied the co-regencies as much as he needed to shorten the chronology in order to shorten it down so that it would fit his preconceived ideas of how Assyrian chronology should be constructed. I will not be discussing it in this video. I will discuss it in the next video of what went wrong with his Assyrian chronology. But the fact is that Thiele said that the numbers given in the Book of Kings concerning the reign of Hosea and Hezekiah, the synchronisms, were additions of a late editor. In other words, he was saying he did not believe the numbers in the text. If we read the preface to Thiele's book called The Mysterious Numbers of the Hebrew Kings, we will see that his mentor was a professor named William Irwin. And if you research into the background of William Irwin, you will find that he was also a higher critic of the scriptures, and he in fact wrote a book on Ezekiel in which he pooh-poohed, doubted, or said that all the numbers, or most of the numbers, in the book of Ezekiel relating to chronology were in fact errors. None of this will bear up under examination. The Assyrian archaeology and chronology is too fragile and based on too long a chain of assumptions, hypotheses, speculations, and guesses in order to effectively use it against biblical chronology. It was simply assumed that it was correct and that the biblical chronology was incorrect, even though all the biblical numbers are consistent with themselves. Okay, I want to look at two verses here that strongly reinforce the conclusion of a regency between the end of Amaziah's reign and the beginning of Uzziah's reign. I have here 2 Kings 14:21, and I've conformed the interlinear to the King James Version. And all the people of Judah took Azariah, which was 16 years old, and made him king instead of his father Amaziah. Now there's a few things we can do here. We can distinguish between the Wav consecutive and the Wav conjunctive. So let's start by putting in the Wav consecutive here. Then takes all the people of, because this is a proper noun, we can put the definite article here on this construct. And the of goes here, attached to this word for construct, and we'll have to take it off of this one. Okay, then takes all the people of Yehuda, Azariah, Azariah. Okay, this is a pretty poor translation from the King James here. And also we can take the Wav conjunctive here, and we can translate it when, which it often means in a phrase. It means at the same time as something else. There we go. When he is. You can translate ben, literally son, and its construct. Okay, I've made some additional changes here. Then takes all the people of Yehuda, Azariah, when he is a son of 16 years. Then they make king him, or then they make him king, under father of him, under his father Amaziah. The key to notice here is we have several unusual elements. First, it's the people of the land that are taking him to make him king, which implies strongly that they had to do something to get him to be king. He wasn't king before that. And the reason they had to do this was because he was too young to be king when his father died. And then the time phrase implies when they made him king, and he is a son of 16 years. Then they made him king. The idea of making somebody king implies that they weren't king before that. The ordinary phrase for somebody to become king is, and he reigned, or and he became king, as something automatic. But when it's additionally specified, then someone is made king by someone else, namely the people, then that implies it took an act of the people to make him king under his father. And the reason for this should be obvious, because he was too young to be king at first, and so after he came of age, then they made him king. So this verse strongly implies a regency until he came of age. Now let's look at the next verse. Okay, the next verse I want to look at is 2 Kings 28, 14:28. I've already conformed the translation here to the Hebrew. And the rest of the acts of Jeroboam and all that he had done, and his might when he had made war, and when he had made return Damascus and Hamath to Yehuda in Israel. Okay, originally these cities, Damascus and Hamath, were tributary to Yehuda. They were their tax base, and they had districts in these cities. The important thing here is that it wasn't the king of Yehuda that recovered the cities. It was Jeroboam that recovered the cities for Yehuda, and this implies that Jeroboam was acting as a military regent for the interests of Yehuda because Uzziah was too young to do it and had not been made king yet. And also the curious phrase, V'Yisrael, in Israel, seems to show that from Jeroboam's point of view, Yehuda is considered a state within Israel, or within his sphere of influence. This all suggests a regency is happening at this time, because Yehuda actually isn't defending its own interest. Jeroboam has taken over military matters, and perhaps has even incorporated some of the Jewish forces into his Israelite army. He may have returned Yehudi garrisons to these cities also.